Hello, my name is Yunting. I'm a student in Tianjin Yinghua Experimental School in China. The paper I will be presenting today is titled Online Learning During the Pandemic, a qualitative investigation of L2 CLIL students' perceptions and learning challenges in China. This is an overview of the contents that I'm going to cover today. Firstly, I'm going to give an introduction of backgrounds and my research motivation of the paper. Then I'm going to illustrate my research methods and data analysis. Next, I'm going to show some interesting results and suggestions for teachers and learners who are involved in online learning during the pandemic. Last but not least is implications. Before stepping to the backgrounds of online learning, I'm going to give a definition of it in the paper. Online learning is a web-based software which can direct, design, and deliver learning content, as well as easing communication between teachers and students. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2019, online-based learning has become a prevailing trend for studying subject matters globally. Additionally, there is an increasing number of international schools teaching CLIL courses to domestic students, and many of them are conducting classes online during the pandemic in China. Because all Chinese schools followed the Chinese government requirement for teaching, which is non-stop teaching and learning. Hence, they conducted a blended learning system, which means to teach students in a combination of online and offline contexts. During the online learning, they used the online software to support for their online learning, such as Tencent or Zoom, so forth. Due to the pandemic, online learning is believed to be an essential part in response to it, as it is considered as a versatile and robust system that society required to face uncertain futures and special occasions. Previous studies of online learning mainly focus on investigating factors affecting students' perceptions and attitudes towards it, such as the relationship between student satisfaction, student performance, internet self-efficacy, teachers' attitudes, and course flexibility. Since I'm also a student who are involved in the online and offline learning, I found that the perceived attitudes were different from online and offline learning. For instance, some of my classmates questioned the practicability of online learning. Additionally, students' performance are polarized. Some parents reflected that their children were too indulged themselves to concentrate on learning. Besides, I also searched for some research paper that have been conducted during the pandemic regarding to the online learning and the CLIL context. I found that there is lack of comparative studies regarding to the online learning and offline learning in China, and there is lack of investigation in online learning challenges, such as language challenges. So these are the reasons intrigued me to conduct the research, which means this is an exploratory study to investigate the phenomenon behind the online learning and students' perceived attitudes for it. Some of you may wonder, what is CLIL I mentioned earlier? So, CLIL is content and language integrated learning, which means the subject is taught in the target language rather than the first language learners. You can see the picture in the right corner. The three students' first language is Chinese. However, they're having English class with the help of English books. So this means they were taught by CLIL approach. So basically, this is the meaning of CLIL in the paper. Now let's move to the second part, research methods and data analysis. Before jumping to the research methods, let me introduce the model designed by Qual's study in 2014. He examined the relationship between learner content interaction and student satisfaction. And the results show that there is a positively strong link between learner content interaction and student satisfaction. Similarly, in this paper, the link between students' perceived attitudes and performance were examined. Since it is an exploratory study, I intend to explore the reasons behind students' perceived attitudes towards online learning and providing some conducive suggestions. By doing so, the possible factors are divided into language challenges factors and non-linguistic factors. For language challenges factors, the four aspects such as listening, reading, writing, and speaking are investigated. For non-linguistic factors, perceived attitudes and difference between online and offline courses are also investigated. Therefore, students' performance, their content understanding, their perceptions of online learning, and the final strategies can be obtained, which can be conducive for future online learning. Now moving to the sample of the paper. Previous research rarely examined online learning under the CLIL context in China. So we selected 6 L2 learners. L2 learners means English is a foreign language to them. They were asked to retrospect their attitudes and perceptions of online learning. The participants are all international high school students, aged from 17 to 19 years old. The research methods qualitative design. The paper used the semi-structured interviews, which contains 3 main research questions listed below. What are the differences between online and offline learning in terms of course delivery, workload, interaction, and flexibility? What are the differences between learning styles and learning attitudes in online and offline learning? What are the new challenges occurred in online lessons in terms of languages, content knowledge, and teachers' facial expressions and body languages? In terms of data analysis, the thematic approach was used by organizing participants' responses into different themes. The table shown is one of the themes called New Language Challenges, Listening in Online Courses. Below are 2 rounded codings. It shows how the initial coding was coded into the second rounded coding. Next is the results and suggestions. The research provided some interesting results. The interaction between teachers and students or within students was generally low in the online context. The reason behind that are complicated. However, it is noticeable that most participants think they didn't get sufficient and immediate feedback from their teachers compared with offline classes. Also, all participants perceive themselves to be more thoughtful in the online environment than in offline classes. Students think the online learning is flexible, but most of them revealed that they didn't really manage those time for meaningful things. Instead, they would just watch TV or play video games. Notably, opportunities for communication reduced in online classes. This is related to the distant interaction in online learning. But in terms of language challenges, students found that they are less likely to have obvious improvement in speaking if the classes are conducted online. The research also found that facial and body expressions played an essential role in enhancing students' concentration in class. For instance, most of students believe a suitable facial and body expressions will enhance their memory of content knowledge. Even though we found that online learning is an alternative way of offline learning, however, it still has some flaws. Thus, according to the results, some suggestions are provided for teachers and learners who are involved in online learning. Firstly, teachers should ask for reviews and feedback, and giving feedback as soon as they can. Secondly, teachers should offer incentives to the class. For instance, they can hold contests or give prizes to award students who are performed well in the class. Also, students should be aware of fostering self-discipline by themselves. However, parental education is still also very important as most students have online classes at home. Parents should take their responsibility of restricting their time spending on playing video games. Thirdly, students should be encouraged to have chat interaction, giving students opportunities to further their understanding of the subject knowledge, like speaking out their opinions of knowledge and interacting with their colleagues. Last but not least, as facial expressions and body languages are restricted in front of the little camera, teachers should be well prepared before the class and show more exaggerated facial expressions and body languages that are matched with content knowledge. Now, let's move to the last part of the presentation, implications. So basically, the research had two main implications. Online learning is operating in regular mode, although it is irreplaceable by offline classes. Online learning also performs an essential role during the pandemic. So, this implies that teachers should transform their roles not only to become facilitators, to motivate students to grab knowledge, but also intermediates to become familiar with online learning platforms and be ready to deal with technological issues. Also, language challenges become more complicated in online learning. L2 learners need to develop independent learning habits and awareness in order to enhance their language learning abilities. And I would say this is the final slide. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome any questions you are going to submit. Thank you.